doing co-op, failing like all from games did so. 72 responses. The game is kind of inactive in the social media overall, so it's kind of a lot like for the Lords of the Fallen. Experience the expansive single-player campaign alone or invite a second player to join your adventure in uninterrupted online co-op, but be warned, heroes from the other realm can and will invade. And now, lots of people already dislike not being able to co-op while opting out of the invasion shenanigans. Here they are doing it again in another game. I hope they won't make the same mistakes Souls games committed. Bruh. Co-op ultimately makes the experience easier and the invasions balance them around. You might not like it, alright.
Yeah, Steel actually showed me this thread. We've talked about it a little bit, but yeah, this thread is actually quite funny. But I actually have some interesting things to say about this. But let's keep on watching.
It is not a mistake. Let's go further. People just want to defend this because they just want to ruin people's enjoyment of the game.
Although I'll say one thing, like the people writing these threads are such scrubs. Like, it's insane how scrubbish, like, just the way they write everything. It just reeks of, like, I'm shit at the game and I'm looking to cope because Red Badman killed me, right? It's, so I feel like what they're asking for is not unreasonable. It's the way that they go about it that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, for instance, like, the whole point of this is they basically don't want to get invaded when they do co-op. And I think Steel's point in this is that the invasion is there to actually balance out how easy it is to co-op. Like we just saw in these Elden Ring invasions just earlier, like some hosts are just so damn bad that, you know, you have to wonder how they get through the game. Well, it's by beating the game with a friend. That's how they do it. So, I mean, the game is really easy when you're both spamming something at an enemy. So, I mean, to be fair, like the invasion is there to balance that out. That is a fair way to balance and design the game. So, you know, with that considered, what they don't want is to have like their playthrough interrupted by an invader. I think the reason why this is so annoying is because the invader has a legitimate chance at being very, very annoying in a host world. Like if for instance, I really wanted to annoy someone and I was not streaming. I don't play like that in streams. I try to win all the time in streams, but I won't like run away in a host world, like hide somewhere and just never come back, right? Like I don't do that. You can count on one hand the amount of time I do that. Usually if I do that, it's gonna be to like absolute shitters. But like this is the kind of things that, you know, normal players can face. And that can be very frustrating. That can be a good reason to not want invasions. But anyway, let's keep on watching. I want to hear what Steel has to say.
That's it. They just want to use the broken shit to go on a rampage and stop people from progressing. Otherwise, a simple arena mode would be sufficient.
I'll just stop at there. Like what they're saying about the arena mode, that otherwise it would be sufficient to have an arena mode, that's coming from someone who does not care about PvP, right? Like you know, guys, I know, we all know, like the invasion experience is not the same as the dueling experience. One can like one or the other or like both, but we can all agree that they're not the same thing. So saying that one would be sufficient is pretty much cutting the experience, like part of the experience, like a different experience even. So personally, I think I would heavily disagree with that. Like an arena mode would be sufficient. In fact, like the arena that's present in Elden Ring right now is like one of the big reasons we have PvP problems right now is because it is not sufficient. What we have in place right now, even with the invasions and the arena, this is not sufficient. We would need a little extra something else. Maybe even like a world where or an area where you can invade with more people, more arena maps, like some variety and activity in arena. You know, we need variety of activity, actually. That's probably like the main reason, lack of reward. Like, you can't just have one activity and just call it a day. That's just, that's only going to appeal to a small portion of people.
Your life would be so much easier if you would just approach it in the fucking healthy way. That there is invading mechanic in the game. Someone can invade you. If you are going to jump into the co-op, there is like a multiple of you. There is one invader. Your job right now is to either beat Red Batman or get through them for the sake of to get to the boss. Simple as that. It is just in-game mechanics that actually works and pretty well. Policy? Most invaders are trolls who are there to just check hosts progress.
Like this, I can't speak because I don't have as much experience like getting invaded as a host, because I invade all the time. We do get invaded a lot when we go through the game, but I haven't gone through the game in a while. But I'm gonna take this at face value that most people that invade are probably annoying if you're trying to go through the game, because they're gonna do everything to win, and there's a chance they might stop your progress, and that can be frustrating. I can understand that side of the argument.
It's literally the point of invasions. It's easy to see if you play online more than 5 seconds. Yes, the invader's purpose is to stop you from progressing.
You're pretty sure most invaders fail? Well, here's the thing. The way I see it is that from their, like, I'm trying to put myself into their shoes. Like, I'm trying to think, like, logically. Like, if the people you're fighting, in your view, are just dragging on the fight, like, while if you're not enjoying the PvP, and you have someone in your world that's that you're forced to kill them, otherwise you can't progress because you're going to be overwhelmed with enemies, like, that can drag on the fight longer, and that can be frustrating. Like, that I can sort of understand, because like, I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. If I was to play through Elden Ring with my girl, for instance, I don't think I would want, like, I'd probably like be on seamless, honestly. Why? Because I don't, like, even though I'd probably, like, you know, shit on every invader that comes my way, I don't want to PvP at that moment. I want to just enjoy my time with my girl, right? Or in their case, it would be with their buddy. I don't want to, like, be stopped in what I'm doing to have to focus on killing killing the red Batman, because killing a red Batman requires a lot more brain juice than just L1 mashing through the PvE. You can turn your brain off for the PvE. So I kind of get that people just want to, like, couch relax and don't want to get bothered. So I can see the argument. Now we're gonna get on the other side of that. So we did devil's advocate here. Let's keep on going.
Like, your regular mobs in the world of the game are obstacles for the sake of, so you are not being able to progress further. Yeah, these mobs are here to technically kill you, stop you, and so on. Yeah, does that mean, like, the regular fucking mob is a fucking troll or something like that is just wants to fuck you up? No, it's just like a design of the certain encounter that you have here. Yeah, it's just like a regular PvP. In this case, asynchronous PvP, unless you are the solo host, and from that what we have seen on the Lords of the Fallen page, it is most likely not going to be the case. It's the invasions probably going to only happen in the asynchronous way when you have a co-oper with you. But yeah.
So basically, like, part of what Steel is explaining here is that, you know, that's kind of the whole point, right? Because you have such a comfortable experience doing co-op with your buddy or with your partner or whatever, because it is such a comfortable experience and you don't have a lot of pushback. The point of Souls games is to give you pushback, to overcome obstacles. It's to keep you on your toes. That's why there's enemies around corners, right? So I feel like that's kind of what the whole point of, like, the invasions are, and it's what they're going for, like, design-wise, is that they don't want you to lay back like that and just, you know, chill. They want you to always be on your toe. That's the kind of the experience that they're providing. Now, like, at a fundamental level, that's just, you know, two different design philosophy. What they're going for here is basically, I just want to chill, and what From Software is going for is that, no, we want to give you something that's more challenging. And you can be on either side, really, but what From Software is going is definitely the challenging experience. Even though the game is not necessarily always very difficult, I think that the reason why invasions exist in the first place is definitely to balance out the co-op experience, because it is much easier when you have a partner.
yeah, like I digress. Point being, like the assumption guy that joins the session for the sake of PvP is fucking asshole is so fucking stupid. Been playing since Demon Souls, so go.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm just gonna stop here. The whole like been playing since X, Y, or Z, like that's just like so empty. Like, I've seen a ton of people, even game journalists, like, you watch, like, the games journalists, like, play these games, like, they said they've played all the Souls games, but they basically, like, beat it once, and never really paid attention to anything they're doing, so they're still really, really bad at these games. Like, seriously really bad. And so, like, there's a difference between saying, like, yeah, I've played Demon Souls, I've played Dark Souls 1, I've played Dark Souls, I've played all of them. So, you know, I'm entitled to being a Souls veteran, exactly, Callie. So I know more. It's just not true, because if you don't take the time to learn how to play the game properly, that's just not going to happen. I mean, just look at Asmongold's perfect example. Like, you can have played all the Souls game and still be really, really bad at it. Why? Because, you know, you're just playing them casually. You're just going through the game and then maybe once or twice and then dropping it afterward. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is the way it is. Like, you're not going to get, like, very good at these games by doing that, even if you've played them all.
And hold my tea, kid. Oh my god. Professional Souls player. This guy makes a perfect argument for you can essentially be experienced and still be dog shit.
Yeah.
Arena Duel is PvP. Invasion is PvP. You are proving my point by trying to defend invasions. The fact like both are like a PvP things doesn't mean that they're supposed to be perceived in like the same way. Like the experience is different. If you invade someone, did you ask for them to get into their world? No? Then it is uninvited. If by design, when you're inviting a co-op partner, you are essentially assuring that you are going to get invaded. It's kind of like just the way how the game mechanic works. Like, it's not the matter like of I came in your world invited or uninvited. It's a matter of there is a game mechanic and you as invader follow the rules of the matchmaking, yeah? As you follow the rules of the matchmaking by just getting the co-op in the first place into your world. Someone meant.
So yeah, that's pretty much just not liking one of the main games mechanic. That's how I see it. But I'm gonna try to do more devil's advocate, because I don't want to just like I just don't want this to be like a complete one-sided argument, because I legitimately think that even though they're not coming at it from the right place with the right arguments, I think that there is a point behind like all of this thread. And I say that, you know, you have to keep in mind there's a lot of people that feel that way, that don't want to get bothered and get invaded. So like, I'm gonna put my little grain of salt into this. Like, if I was to like make a Souls game to my liking, right, just not necessarily what people want, not Miyazaki's philosophy, not From Software's philosophy, if I was to make something for my liking, I would probably make it so that I can only play with other experienced players, right? Because I don't want to noob stomp. I would like to only play, like, only invade the good players and only like get good fights. But I mean, let's be honest, like, I am self-aware that this is just not like something that everyone is looking for, right? Like, this is very highly subjective. Like, you can't expect like your favorite way of having things like be the way it's going to be liked or played for everyone, right? Because not everyone is looking for the same experience. Heck, you know, these people probably wish there was not any PvP in the first place. They don't say it straight up, but like, because they know they would get a lot of pushback for that. But I mean, the bottom line is these people don't like PvP, and so they don't want any PvP in the game. But at the end of the day, that's just selfish. It's pretty much like the example I just gave you. Like, if I was to make the game for myself, like, yes, of course, you can have your own preferences, but that does not mean that you should just ignore like a large portion of what the players think, like the player base think. But I think there's a way. I think honestly though, there's a way to make a compromise for that. I think if the game was designed properly, there probably would be a way to make it so that there's enough PvP activity for everyone, and that these people can still do their thing on their own, honestly. I feel like there's a bit too much of like pessimism regarding that. And I say pessimism, I'm very negative when I critique these games, but I'm negative in the outlook that it's possible. Like, I do believe it's possible to make them better. Like, some people think it's impossible and that you can't make a balanced games. I've heard that many times. Like, it's impossible to make a Souls games that's balanced, too complicated. You know, it's definitely possible. And when it comes to that, I think if you, I've talked about this many times, if you cap the level, the max level, at a level that's low enough, like level 200, level 100 to 200, you guys can pick whatever you want in between that, I don't care. If you cap the game at level 100 to 200, and then you force players to play at that max level, your activity pool is all of a sudden so much larger because you encompass all the activity that's spread out in Elden Ring or any Souls at all these levels, and you just like condense it into one level bracket. Then you give the opportunity for these people to play with their friend and not have like mandatory co-op. And how you do this and keep the invasion system is that you just have like better incentive for like new game plus and stuff like that, and actual proper rewards, like actually incentivizing people to go through the game with the invasion mechanic on. So like if for instance you gain like twice as much souls when you have like the Taunter's Tongue on and you can't turn it off, or you get like more enemy drops, like more drops, and you get like actual useful rewards when you kill enemy players for both sides, then you're creating a much more engaging experience for both sides, and there's actually a reason to play the PvP as opposed to just it being an invasion. Anyway, let's keep on going. That's just, you know, that's just my personal taste. Like, I'm not saying that's how necessarily things should be for everyone. I'm open to hearing how you guys feel about all of this, but if we were to go like this thread is going and just, you know, throw darts and just say this is how I want things, well, this is how I would want things for myself.
Like, it's called griefing, and this guy goes like, it's exactly what I have been saying. What these people want is to grief, not to PvP. It's massively different. They don't want to fight with someone who is ready for them, because when they are faced with that, they most...
Actually, they don't want to fight against people that are ready for them. There's a fine line between that, because I'm sure that's the case for some, but like for instance for us, we invade these people because we can't really invade anyone else than these people. Like they're the majority. You know, back in Dark Souls 3 we decided to invade at Pontiff and Ring City because we would get the most experienced players. You don't get anything like that in Elden Ring, so you can't really have any comparable, so you're gonna get a lot of these. With that being said though, like the whole like fighting someone who is ready for them, if you're actually fighting someone that's ready to take on an invader and there's multiple of them, your chances of winning are very slim, because it's very, very difficult to kill multiple people at the same time. Like I'm an experienced player, so sometimes we make it look easy, but it's actually pretty difficult, and you don't need to be very good at the game to pose a threat when you're ganking, really. So like the not wanting to fight people that is ready for them, if you could only fight people that were absolutely ready, you'd basically never win a single invasion, really. It's like it's already very difficult for the invader as it is, even if the players that they're fighting are not very skilled.
To run away, to hide behind enemies, or switch to a cheese tactic. It's always what ends up happening. Those are
because
like...
you don't have a choice. You have to use the mobs and cheese tactics because, you know, it's just how the game is. You have to use the stuff that's available. You cannot fight multiple people head on. Otherwise, you're just gonna run and die. That's it.
The type of the hosts that going to gank with the 3-man squad, and they are like, oh man, like now I will show them, like Red Batman deserves it, like now it is fair, now it makes sense, because like a fucking 50 hours ago someone bodied me when I was going through the game. Bruh, like this guy just like twisting the fucking, like makes a fucking whore out of the logic for the sake of to only like just justify being absolute fucking shitter himself. If Invader is going to meet a squad of 3 gamers that are like fucking equally equipped
Yeah, Steel is about to say the same thing we just mentioned. I mean, it's quite obvious, really. Like, if you only fight, like, the whole asymmetrical gameplay of invasions only works when the invader is better than their opposition. Otherwise, like, the invader is just gonna get mopped in a matter of seconds. Like, if you put one of these hosts, right, that are really bad at the game, you make them invade, oh, you wonder why you don't see them? Yeah, well, that's right, because they don't stay. I mean, because they can't do anything. Like the reason why invaders are so sweaty, the nature of the activity itself filters out the players that are not like prepared for it. It's just like, it's the nature of things. You're not gonna see like invaders as bad as hosts because they will have left already, because they're just gonna die every time. Now, is it to say that it could, like, I think it could be better. Like, there would probably be a way to like match make some newer invaders with perhaps more like easier invasions, like, you know, lone hosts and stuff like that. I think that could be a good compromise. Like, if the game could track how many times you've lost, and same thing for the host. Like, if the game could keep track in some way of these things, you know, in another dimension than this one, well, it would definitely be possible to make these encounters more bearable for the average invader and the new invader.
And on top of that, they have like solid understanding of what they are doing. Then in the asynchronous situation of the PvP, when you're like alone as an invader, you probably have to take everything that's up to offer on the map you are currently on. Once again, I don't care either way. Use all the cheese you want. I can cheese just as much, if not worse. I will summon people until you get out of resources and die. I will beat you through a wall or whatever. You made the choice to get into my world. You follow my rules. Dude, this guy is example of shitter. No.
Yeah, this is the ganker mentality here. I love it.
Skill trash.
Beautiful.
That is actually fucking like going to just shit on everyone else.
Don't get me wrong, there's actually nothing wrong with using everything that's in the game. In fact, I think everyone should have this outlook. But what's funny is the resentment that comes with it, you know? Like, he's actually really angry. He's like, I'm gonna use everything I can to kill you. You know, you can feel the rage behind it. That's what's funny about it.
I was looking for the justification for being a fucking dogshit player, dude. Holy fuck. Oh my god, like, I love the fact when people like that expose themselves so easily. My brother in Christ, if you think that simply carrying out the intended objective qualifies as trolling, then you haven't met actual troll in Souls game. Puff your chest out and claim that you have been there since Demon Souls all you want. Real trolling is not even the same ballpark.
Yeah, the like IGN glitch is a good example, Shadow. Like, these are definitely the type of people who would use it. Like, personally, I'm not a big fan of these like completely broken glitches, but I'm pretty sure this is not out of the realm for these individual.
And it's not exclusive to invasions either. Normal invader/PvP player may not care about your feelings, but a troll is there to mess with you. There is a world of difference between being defeated and being used for entertainment. But yeah, this is actually so fucking funny. It's a year 2023. People still do not grasp the idea of the dynamic between invasions and the co-op. You can play these games solo, but if you are jumping onto the servers, then you are participating in the multiplayer experience. That is just more rich than regular co-op,
Yeah, also, I think it's fair that we should mention that one thing that's not talked about as often as it should is, you know, you can actually play these games completely offline. You can actually, you know, if you really don't want to get bothered with the multiplayer, you can, you know? You're really not missing out. Like, the messages are not a good part of the experience. They actually, I know some people really like the messages on the ground and, like, the blood stains. Honestly, like, it's not a big deal. Like, you're really not missing out. And even in Elden Ring, heck, you can have the blood stains and the messages without being offline and being invaded. So at the end of the day, I think, like, this is at the end of the day, this is just too nitpicky when you can already play the game solo and not get bothered by an invader. Like, that's why, you know, that's why offline play really exists, really. And you should appreciate that instead of, like, trying to, you know, trying to want, like, the whole cake. Like, the fact that we have full offline is already good enough, especially in an era where DRM is, like, everywhere and, like, you have to log in to play your single-player games, right? A lot of studios do that. So instead of complaining about that, I think we should appreciate that we have the ability to play our Souls games completely offline. I think that would be my conclusion to this, really.
PvP, it's everything. It's like all these messages, all these bloodstains, the other type of the interactions, like for example in Dark Souls 1, you casting the miracle, like causing the miracles of the other.
Dude, bloodstains and messages are just an in-game spoiler mechanic. That's my take.
The players in the other worlds being boosted and so on, yeah? It is just what it is. It is what fundamentally Souls games are partially about.
Oh, Callie, I agree so much. They're way too glowy. Like, I've personally, like, I don't know if it's me because I'm so focused on what I'm doing. I genuinely find, like, the messages and the bloodstains is very distracting. Just like you said, because they glow so much, like, you notice them on the floor, like, all the time. I find it distracting, but that might just be me, though.
It's like the gameplay loop is focused around having interactions with the other players, even if sometimes you do not interact with the other players directly. You still do that in some way. That's what it is. That's how we are playing these games. That's the gameplay loop. It's kind of shame because people are fucking still, after so many years, kind of blind for it. Unfortunate, GG.
Alright, well, thank you, Steel, for that. Well, guys, what do you think about all of this? How do you guys feel about the invasion? Should people choose to not to get invaded, or should they be forced to do it when they're doing co-op? What do you guys think about all of this? You feel like you're ready to see some Armored Core 6 gameplay? Oh, I love it. Well said. I love it.